Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. It was a battering at the seaside for the West Londoners again. Another disastrous day out for Enzo Maresca. His team never got going. No shots on target. Poor in the middle of the park. And defensively, the team absolutely all over the place. Aside in the title race in December, fans excited, moving in the right direction. Now, about mid to lower half of the table in terms of the last 6 to 10 games in form, slowly falling down the pecking order, and they have to start winning fast. We want to get your views, your opinions. You can call into the show. You can super chat. You can send in your comments. Of course, we prioritize the member chats and the super chats as they really help keep the Football Terrace going, but all are welcome here. Chelsea fans, I hear ya. I feel your pain. My club's in an absolute mess as well, so I understand it. Your form, though, after such a bright start, has fallen off the edge of a cliff. How can you fix it? I want to hear from every single one of you right now. Let's go to the comment section to begin with. Straight away, you see this here from Chelsea News. Sack him is what this individual believes should happen. Sacking Enzo Maresca. Maresca out. I see Poch out trending as well in here. This is right. 0 shots on target is simply not good enough, especially against a team that lost 7-0 one Premier League game ago. Lost 7-0 2 weeks ago. The fact that they've rebuilt their confidence so quickly playing Chelsea must be infuriating. Must be infuriating to to West London. West London fans? That doesn't make sense. The team for West London's fans. £1 billion bottle jobs is what Trigger TV has got to say here. Valentine's with Brighton, Chelsea just bent over. Yeah, tonight has ruined a few Valentines, but also made them probably. Pete here. This member chat here says Chelsea / Palmer, no show again. Feel fans gutted. Look, I've defended Palmer a lot this season. There's been games where he's created and he's been excellent. Tonight, though, he was poor. He had 2 good opportunities on the ball. He skied it. Outside of 2 magical passes early in the game, I thought he was very, very poor indeed tonight. Really, really poor indeed. Pete here says Chelsea had 0 shots on target the entire game. Absolutely unacceptable at each and every single level. Too big a club, too good a team, too much money spent for that to ever be acceptable. Sack Winstanley and Stewart, sack Maresca, sell Colwill for pure profit like the rest of the kids. Buy a striker and buy experienced men, not teenagers, is what DR has got to say here. And DR not happy with Chelsea tonight. Just sell the club. This shit is depressing, is what Dyke says. Wants Clearlake and Todd Bowley gone. Have patience and trust the process in Maresca, is what Abraham says here. Potch out, guys. Please explain. Lol, is what Brian says here. That is obviously coming from an Arsenal fan. Matoma and Minter were running the show, absolute monsters. And look, that brings me on to reviewing the game before I bring my panel out tonight. And you've got to go and give credit to Brighton. First and foremost, Brighton were excellent tonight. They defended well. I liked how at times when they didn't always press, but they still kept their line quite high. They really compressed Chelsea for large parts of that game. To a man, they played well also in their individual positions. They were physical when they needed to be. And their turnaround after getting walloped 7-0 is fantastic. The response has been brilliant. And yes, that they may feel that anxiety and frustration of that game next time they go away to Forest, but I think they're over it. These last 2 games, the results, the performances, the goals, they're probably over it. The performance was brilliant. The Matoma goal. Let me just say now, that Matoma goal, I've heard Bergkamp-esque, Berbatov-esque, Messi-esque. That first touch was as good as any I've ever seen in the build-up to a goal in Premier League history. To pull it out of the sky, it was like he trapped it like it was a bag of cement. It just, bang, stopped. Out of this world. I think Chalobah maybe could have and should have cleared it. A lot of Chelsea fans angry that the goalkeeper didn't save it. But I'm glad he didn't, because we'd have been robbed of an all-time... That goal was an all-time great Premier League goal, in my opinion. It was fundamentally brilliant. The second goal comes from turning over play with Chelsea trying to play out from the back. And I thought it was offside, but it turns out that Welbeck's behind the ball. He might be ahead of the defenders, but he's behind the ball. So he's onside. They get their second. The third is a wonderful, well-worked goal as well. And Brighton were excellent. And it really could have been 4 or 5. They had chances after going 3-0 up to score, and they really could have put the game to bed. Didn't quite happen for them, but they deserved it. Absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. Phenomenal from them. But from a Chelsea perspective, defensively naive, all over the place. Individual battles. Cucurella cooked. Absolutely cooked tonight. Thought he was poor. I thought Levi Colwill and Chalobah, just poor. Hesitant, getting pulled out of position. Just really poor central defensive display. Midfield-wise, I thought it was another one of those games, like too many in a Chelsea shirt for Enzo Fernandez, where he's just not imposing himself on the game. Caicedo, I give a little bit of a pass to, because I feel that he has been so consistent in the last 12 months for Chelsea, but I thought he was poor tonight. Late, he could have got sent off, really. It was the booking that he got, but there was a bookable offence very early in the game, which I actually think the referee forgot about, because the ball didn't go out for about 2 or 3 minutes. From an attacking point of view, there isn't a single Chelsea player that gets an ounce of credit. Palmer, trash. And Nkunku, invisible. Madueke, look, he goes off with a hamstring injury, so you can't criticise him for that. Pedro Neto did absolutely niche. And Jadon Sancho came on. He had all the freedom that he wanted, but did niente, nil point, again from him. But the entirety of that attack looks poor. The whole group as a collective and individually, shocking. And Enzo Maresca, he started off brilliantly at Chelsea. He got them up near the top of the league. They were playing good quality football. They were moving the ball well. And I was really impressed. And I predicted that Chelsea would challenge for the top 4, I think, at the beginning of the season. A bit in and around that. And then I thought, wow, they're even better than I expected. I didn't see this fall off coming. I have to hold my hands up. I didn't see this fall off coming. And we're getting into that realm of it being a fall off now. That's 2 wins in the last 11 games if you take out the Morecambe match, because as much as you won that game, Chelsea fans expected to, it's a very low-level team. 2 wins from the last 10. Only 2 wins in the last 7 Premier League games. 4 of those have been defeats. And even when you look at the West Ham victory recently, if it wasn't for that deflected goal, that may have ended in a draw and a really big chance at the end for West Ham that they missed. And all season, I think one element of criticism Chelsea fans gave out about their own club is we leak too many goals, we leak too many goals, we leak too many goals. And that just hasn't improved. The ball didn't go out in January and do enough. That was absolute negligence from them. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And now they're left in this position where they're starting to sink. They're starting to sink like the Titanic. And Maresca, I think because he's so inexperienced, he's struggling to find a solution. He is struggling to find how to set up, what players to put out to stop the rot, to concede less goals and to start scoring again. And what was getting Chelsea through is they could outscore teams earlier on in the season. It's not happening anymore. And with Palmer looking off the boil, and I'm sure it will come back to fruition, no number 9s fit are available. You've got players like Neto, Sancho, and Nkunku when it comes to the Premier League. Their output is so low. They look in real trouble right now, Chelsea. And they're a team that I felt for sure, if you'd have asked me mid-December, for sure they're making the Champions League positions, for sure. Now I'm looking at that table. Yes, they sit in 4th. But I think City may finish above them. I think Newcastle will. I think Bournemouth will. I think those sides right now are in much better form. And we're getting close to the last 10 games of the season. So there isn't a massive time to recover from this. Chelsea go away to Aston Villa next. Right now, that looks like an L. They have to win it. They then play, I think, Southampton and Leicester, the two worst teams in the league, at home. Have to win them. They probably will, but they absolutely have to. If they go for the next 3 games and maybe lose 2 of them or drop points in 2 of those games, I don't think they're going to make the top 4. They may get 5th, which gives them Champions League football, but I know that all Chelsea fans worth their salt are looking at the performances, because performances are what you build on. They're what create the consistency. Because Chelsea next season, they have to be challenging for a league title. That will be going into the 4th year of this rebuild. Over £1 billion spent. More money will be spent in the summer. So those performances must start getting better this deep into a club rebuild. But I want to know what you thought went wrong tonight. I want to get your opinions. We've got Jay coming on in a minute. We've got Ronin coming on as well. That's Jay, as in Javern, coming on to have his say. A few super chats here that I want to go to. Firstly, Matoma's goal has goal of the season, but this for Chelsea was a no-show. And for the money they have spent, it's unacceptable. And I just want to know, what if this was Poch? Would the energy be the same for Enzo? Is what Joshua Jack has asked the Chelsea fans in the audience. Let us know, people. Let us know right now. I don't understand why Brighton are celebrating so much. Not that hard to beat us. I'm actually annoyed they didn't make it. 6 would have been fairer. But they're celebrating. I will say this as well. The one thing I did think is Chelsea did something tonight that really annoyed me. Brighton kicked the ball out for them and they didn't give the ball back. And there's just something about that rubs me up the wrong way. Like, you're not gonna be in favour with whether it's karma, whether it's the football gods, whether it's just anything. I just thought that was really, really poor play. Terry, what did you make of the disallowed goal for Chelsea? I didn't think it was much of a push, if I'm being honest. I didn't think it was much of a push in it at all. Defender makes the most of it. But where I'll defend Chelsea on this, if you're gonna say that Joe Linton on Gabriel is not a foul, if you're gonna say the push or the nudge or the contact on Konate is not a foul, I'm not too sure how you're giving this one. Maybe because it was so obvious. Sometimes that plays a part in it. Maybe it could have been a little more subtle, potentially. But I didn't think there was much in it. I didn't think it was a hard enough push to make him fall over. Maybe it's because the defender didn't arch his back and he just fell straight over. I'm not too sure. But I thought that was a little harsh, to be fair. Brighton defensively was good, not usually. Yeah, they've looked good in the last 2 games against Chelsea defensively, and they're usually a little suspect. Chalobah and Nkunku are the victims again. When are we going to talk about Levi Colwill being a statue and Cole Palmer ghosting through games mid-players? Well, we're going to bring that up to the panel when they come out, AJ. Don't you worry about that. I need to show my S&C clients Matoma's goal, a perfect example of core strength and balance. Yeah, so strength and conditioning clients. I think, is that what that means? I assume that's what that means. Yeah, it was. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal what he did. Stay Minter, what an electric player. Yeah, he was great. And yeah, I suppose there's a few Newcastle fans out there thinking, oh, I can't believe we had to sell him because of PSR situation, especially with the news today. But yeah, phenomenal from him today. He was very, very good indeed. He took his goals well. Yeah, absolutely great. All right, time to bring out the panel now, people. I want to give them their say. We've got Nick, we've got Ronin, we've got Javern coming on with me now as well. Welcome back to the show, gentlemen. Javern, how you doing, brother? I'm going to come to you first. A very disappointing night. A bit of a beatdown in the end, mate.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking, and it's been like this for a while. And at the start of the season, I was like, I hope I'm wrong. And here we are. We had a really lucky start to the season. I don't know where it all went wrong. And yeah, tonight is just it's just honestly, it's shocking, Terry. I've got no words. And when I just see people, like at the start, everyone was just like, oh, we're the best. We're going title challenges. Title challenges where? Title challenges where? Maresca is a nobody. What title was he going to challenge for, please?
No, I hear you. What's the answer at the moment? You know, only 2 wins in your last
There is
11 games. What are the answers to fix this? None.
There is none. The recruitment in the summer was crap. Like Sancho, Felix, players we didn't need. We need defenders. We need a striker. We're flirting with Osimhen the whole window, whatever. But we bring in flipping Felix and Sancho at the end. It's all that money that we spent on wasted on them. Why couldn't we just find a way to make Osimhen work? Maybe Osimhen wouldn't have worked out, but at least they would have tried. Like, there's no defense. Like Sanchez, Colwill. Oh, let's not even get started on Colwill. They're all clowns. It's like David Luiz 0.40. Like it's shocking. The attack is cool. It can be better, but the defense is absolutely shocking. We were let down. January let down. I don't know. I honestly don't know where this changes, Terry. I think the players are in a rut. Maresca doesn't have the experience to bring it out, so all we can do is just ride it out, in all honesty.
And that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, you look at today's game, and it was flat. The attacks were poor. What do you think that the manager's getting wrong in terms of his setup? Because it just didn't look like maybe the first 5 minutes you started quite well. You played out from the back, like you had some chances, but you just went flat, and there seems to be no invention, no idea today. What's Maresca not doing? What's the problem on that pitch?
To be fair, this is how it's always been. It's just that the goals went in the other time around. That's all it's been, really. Like, I remember at the beginning of the season, we played City, and it was like, oh, we finished those chances. Like, it was a, people were saying it was a really close game. We would, put those chances in, and we would have challenged City. And I'm like, this is going to be how it's going to be for the whole season. Then we had the first half, everything looked nice. Goals were going in, but the writing was there. The writing on the wall was there. And now here we are, because it's the same players. It's the same players. So what's the difference now? Have they run out of any? Maybe they've been found out. But honestly, Maresca is just like, for me, it reminds me of Sarri. It just reminds me of Sarri. It's like they have a way to play and they stick by it, and nothing changes. And I feel sorry for him, because obviously he has so much to pick from in terms of all the players that are in the team. But in all honesty, it's going to be a long ride. I've said this a few times to people, like, the Chelsea that you remember under Roman is no more. Stop thinking, oh, Chelsea's a top 2, top 3 club. Like, people need to stop thinking that now. Look at the players that have been bought in. Look at the players that have been bought in. Are they world-class level? Chelsea fans need to understand that whatever is going to be, it's a long process now. And it is what it is. And if people think that it's going to be, just because it's Chelsea, we should be in the top 4. Just because it's Chelsea, you should be in the look at the profile of players that have come in, and please tell me how in the world that is meant to be a world-class team challenging for a title. Please.
I hear you. Like, Ronin, you're obviously more positive by and large with the direction that Chelsea are going in. What went wrong tonight specifically? Why were you so flat? Why were you so poor, do you feel, on the field of play tonight?
Thank you. And I wouldn't say I'm positive because I'm realistic, right? The reality is what he just said is poignant. This isn't the Chelsea under Roman, right? This is still a rebuild. I know people got optimistic when, the run of form after the preseason. There were low hopes because the preseason didn't go so well. So when they started playing and started winning, everybody was like, oh, this isn't so bad. This is great. Look at them. They're passing the ball around. This is great. They're scoring goals. They're defending well. Well, this is the part of the season where a young team with injuries and everything else, where it starts to lean on them. Now, if you're looking at their form, as poor as they were, the last real bad loss they had, I would consider, was in December to Leicester. That was 2-0 to a team we should have beat easily. Other than that, it's been like a goal here and there or a draw. So it's been bad form, no doubt, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be, especially considering. Now, what people don't consider in this is the fact that I'm not going to use the injury crutch because everybody's injured this time of the season. But the fact that the squad is not that deep, the injuries weigh a little heavier and inexperienced. So you're looking at I know I've seen a lot of shtick about Colwill online. I said it last week. Colwill's terrible. I know he's high priced. He came back from the knee injury, and that's great, but he's probably one of the biggest culprits when it comes to the defense breaking down. The other piece is Chalobah came in hot. He played great the first match back. It was great. I think he was riding on a lot of emotion, but he's been a ghost since. And as far as the attack, I mean, I hate using the injury crutch, but show me another team that's still winning. It hasn't yet happened yet for Arsenal, but that's still winning with no striker, right? I mean, Nkunku, he should have been gone in January. I don't know how they didn't pull that off. I see Enzo making positive statements like he's still a great part of the club. We're going to be using him. We're going to incorporate him. It's going to be great. It's not going to be great. He's not trying. At the minimum, you have to have effort, and he's just not trying. I didn't see enough effort out of him tonight. He didn't look like he was playing for his career. He looked like he was playing for the next step and hopefully just getting out of here, right? Not even trying to impress another club, just knowing some team in Bundesliga will buy me, no problem. So I don't believe he still wants to be there, and that's showing through. The issue tonight I saw the most was, aside from the injuries, we didn't have an attack, and that created more urgency in the midfield to try to move forward, and that left us vulnerable. And when you got a guy like Matoma in the back, I mean, that goal was beautiful. That's something that even if they were at full strength, he probably would have scored. But I think the rest of them were a product of just the players we had on the pitch at the time. As far as Palmer goes, in his position, he can't create alone. Yes, he can. If in the right scenario, he gets the ball in the right place, yeah, he can, but he's still an attacking midfielder. So with no forward, no center forward, it's not really, he's going to be limited.
I understand that. What my challenge about the centre forward situation is this form, these bad results have been going on for 11 games. You had the likes of Jackson and so available for large periods. It's only been the last couple of games with no Jackson. So it's not as though you were playing great, scoring, winning, lost Jackson, and now, look, we've had a couple of games without him and we haven't scored. You've been in this run since the back end of December. This isn't new. This is the better part of sort of 6 to 8 weeks. And I just feel like there's a comment here from Simon Johnson, Chelsea correspondent of The Athletic, that said Enzo Maresca had almost a full week to work on things in training to generate a better performance and game plan. But it was an even bigger disappointment. Do you agree with that, Elijah? Was it worse than the FA Cup performance? And if so, why?
I agree, Terry, because that performance tonight has got to be one of the most embarrassing, disgraceful, disgusting performance ever this season. 0 shots on target throughout the whole game. 0. We have 1 week, of us getting back to have a better performance from last week. But what does Maresca do? Makes it worse. Makes it worse. And you know the crazy thing is, Terry? Another injury. First is Jackson. Now, is Madueke. Muscular injury.
Yeah.
4 attackers we've got left. Palmer, Nkunku, Neto, and Sancho. If one of them gets injured, then that means our squad is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. I tell you, every player out there today should be ashamed of themselves, including Maresca. Because what was that performance today?
I agree.
And people will tell me, we dominated. Yes, we dominated, but what do we do after that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The defending for all 3 goals was embarrassing. The first goal, Chalobah, once again, just like Holland, letting Matoma, not make you like that and score the goal. The second goal, Jan Kubar scored the goal. Like, it was good for Jorgensen who made that save, but where was our defense? Nowhere near to be seen. Nowhere. Then the third goal, Levi Colwill once again giving the ball away, just like he did against West Ham. Like, what is this? Colwill is supposed to be a good defender, but this season, he has been worse. He has been worse. And Chalobah, I mean, I'm happy that he came back, but I've got to admit, in the last few games, other than the Wolves game, he has been shocking. He has been shocking. But I did say, I like Chalobah coming back, but we need experienced defenders. We need the likes of Virgil van Dijk, Saliba, all of these players. We need that. Jadon Sancho come on and did nothing after that. Both our wingers did nothing again. And Kunku once again did nothing. I don't believe he had any shots in this game. Palmer, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but another disappointing performance. Caicedo, maybe he's only the few players that can deserve some praise because in the first half he did good, But I'd like to say this as well. The goal that we scored, for me, that's no foul. But even though that, Terry, we were terrible. Brighton weren't that good tonight. But they don't have to be this good to beat us, because teams are figure Maresca out. They're figuring him out already, just like they did against Leicester.
Yeah, and I've got to ask you, do you think part of that, because you do have some very good players, do you think a big part of this, Elijah, is Maresca's system being found out and him having no answer to the puzzle?
Yeah. Because his tactics is, let's just play a back three. Let's just so we can cross in and make sure that, if someone inside the penalty box. It's not working, because this season is allowing us to have players trying to play from the back. And look at this, Terry. 11 errors leading to a goal this season. 11 since Levi Colwill made that terrible pass for the third goal. This system is not working. He needs to switch it up, adapt a little bit. But he has one style of play. And whenever and look at this, Terry, yeah? And last week, he deserved the blame. Because he said yesterday that, I'm happy that we're out of the FA Cup because we can focus on the Conference League and the League Cup. And he's also saying that that the Champions League, our aim is to finish in 2 years, not 1 year. And I'm like, what are you saying? We are Chelsea Football Club, not Chelsea Banter Club. We're supposed to be a big club, but we're not it anymore. We're acting like a small club. You know why, Terry? The owners don't care. The sporting directors. I've been saying, I know I keep on saying it so many times, but I'm going to keep on saying it, until they hear this. Wayne Stanley, Lawrence Stewart, Clearlake, Barley, sell this club tonight. Yeah? Tonight. Get rid, because you, man, don't care. You spend all this money and you sign no one. So guess what? If Gusto gets injured, we've only got one right back, Terry, and that is Reece James. And if he gets injured, that means we're going to be in trouble because we sign no one. The mentality is gone, Chelsea fans. Yeah, I've been saying it on my channel. This season is done. It's finished. We're not getting top 4. Yeah, and if we don't win the Conference League, it's going to get even worse. But the mentality is gone. Seriously, Terry, I'm done with this football club. I'm done with the owners. I'm done with everything. And if people and all these people that tell me trust the process, you deserve this, not me. Because this process gets you nowhere. The project has failed. Everything has failed. We're no longer a big club anymore. And I'm being honest. And nothing will change until these owners leave this club immediately tonight. Fucking fuming, man.
Listen, I try not to, because I try to be as unbiased as I can. But you in the last 6 minutes, you nearly had me 2 or 3 times. It's some of your ranting, and bruv, listen. But I hear the pain. And I think what you said at the end there about mentality is so important. That was one of my biggest thoughts watching the game. Was now that you're in this bad form, where are the Chelsea players that are going to help? As much as the manager's system might need a tweak and some new ideas, who are the players that can pick you up from the ground, that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck? They're all young, so I'm not necessarily blaming them. But then I look at the squad building. Who are the players? Who are your leaders? Because you're always going to go through these moments. And you started the season quite well, which meant maybe some of the scars of last season and the year before weren't showing up. But I think you're going through this period, especially for the players that have been there a season or two, or definitely since the sort of Clearlake have been there. There's almost this element of they understand how bad it can get, and they're almost playing like that. That you can almost see sort of the PTSD, if you will, sort of seeping through them. The mentality of your club, again, that's one of the biggest things for you to fix, because Chelsea, for me, for the best part of 2 decades, had one of the best mentalities in England. They were never beat. They were never beat. Or they obviously lost games, but they never behave like they would beat in the vast majority of games. So you're spot on there, Elijah. You really are. I'm going to go to Nick. Nick's been waiting a while. What are you saying, Nick?
I think where I disagree with the lad before me is I think these owners actually do want to win. I think the problem is with them is they don't know how to, I don't trust them to go about what they're doing. I mean, they've spent a lot of money. They're not spending in the right places. We've spent almost 200 million on centre-backs over the last few years, and none of them are really good enough. I don't get why we signed Badiashile. I don't know why we decided on Sassy. Fana's been injury-prone. We've spent so much money on, like, it's the little things like this. We need to strengthen that defence. We need a leader in that back line. We need that Saliba. We need that Gabriel. We need that Van Dijk. Kanate. We need that presence at the back. As you said, Terry, we need that leadership from the back. And as I said, I'm not convinced that's one of the main areas we need. And I just don't trust this ownership. I don't trust the sporting directors to make the right decisions and sign in the right players. I think that's one of the main problems at the moment is I think the owners do want to, they wouldn't buy the club for the amount they did and invest the amount they did if they didn't want to be successful. It's stupid. You're throwing money down the drain. I just think the way they're going about it is completely wrong. And the people they put in charge is part of this problem. But with Maresca, I think I'm a bit worried for him because I think we need a tactical change and I don't think he's going to do it. When Jackson, he hasn't been playing well for a while, but one thing Jackson does is he breaks the lines. He makes all these runs behind. And when Jackson plays well, our wingers play well. That's one thing we've seen over the last kind of 6 to 12 months. That is kind of consistent thing. Problem is at the moment, we haven't got that central we haven't got that central striker. And all our wingers, they want to dribble at players. They don't want to run behind. So right now you've got Cole Palmer and Nkunku dropping deep. You've got your wingers just sitting there trying to take people on. And you've got no one really trying to break the lines. And you haven't got them balls behind and that central figure to... And I think at the moment we're seeing the inverting of the fullbacks, which we've seen all season. But I think we need to kind of scrap that. And that's one thing I'd say change now because we've got Kukurea who can overlap. We've got Reece James, who's one of the best overlappers in the world. I mean, I'm a bit worried about his legs, but yeah, that's another debate. But even Gusto, he said he can overlap. We've got the ability to do that. And I think that's one change we might need to see going forward. But as I said, I don't think he's going to change it because we haven't seen him. I mean, he's changed Jorgensen. That's about into Jorgensen, but I think that's the only thing we've really seen him actually change this season. It's been quite consistent. So I don't know. I'm a bit worried for the rest of the season now because I said I just don't really trust. But it's going to get fixed in the summer, and I don't know whether Maresca is going to make that tactical change and be able to get around this because we saw this last season with Leicester. I mean, it's come in. I didn't really take too much of what I was hearing from Leicester fans on our Talk Sport and sort of kind of word of mouth and stuff about obviously Maresca and that drop off he had, but we're seeing that now. So we'll see, but it's not kind of looking good now for the rest of the season. I think last time I was on, I said we need 10 out of 12 points. We've already lost the game. So that's already gone.
Yeah. No, listen, I hear you, mate. And I think, again, I'm not worried I'm a rival, but I am worried from Maresca. I know they're sort of the briefings are they're going to stick with him. They're going to stick with him. They're going to stick with him. The more they start saying that, the less I believe it. And that isn't a dig at Chelsea. Most football clubs do that. Most football clubs do it. And there's another tweet that got put out by someone called Sam Dean. I don't know who it is, but it rings true. It just said the most striking aspect of that Chelsea defeat, apart from Matoma's wonder goal, was how lightweight they looked. It felt like Brighton was stronger, faster, and smarter all over the pitch. A reminder that Chelsea paid 225 million in recent years for Brighton's best players and staff, and Brighton today looked the better team. And I think that those types of moments, and it won't just be Maresca. I know he's not from Brighton. Those moments, I think, matter to ownership. I think those things matter to fans. Now, if you go now and imagine you go and buy Brighton's best 3 players, and you take some of their staff upstairs because you love what they're doing, and then you play them a year or so later, and they batter you twice in 2 weeks. Like any of our teams do that's going to create a problem upstairs, if that makes sense. So I do worry about him in terms of, is he going to be able to survive this? And then I think, well, what's next for Chelsea? Because he's on a 5-year deal. That would be a big payout, as an example, potentially. And no Champions League football. And I know Andrew's here, and we'll obviously speak to, there's 2 Andrews on now, Andrew Barnes and Winter Surfer. We'll call him Winter Surfer. It's easier that way. But me and him have had that conversation before. Chelsea were always going to be okay financially, but making the Champions League was an absolutely key component in that happening. So It's going to be a really interesting end to the season for Chelsea.
That's the thing as well, because even if we did, let's just say, for example, this downward spiral continues for the rest of the season and Maresca does get sacked, can we sit there and say off the track record of this new ownership that they're going to get someone else in to
agree
who's actually going to be able to step in? And I think the problem at the moment, we've got inexperienced players with inexperienced managers, and it's just not kind of going well. But as you said there, like if we don't make Champions League this season, and as you said there, 5-year contract, if you sack Maresca, that's going to be a big payout because you've got to get rid of him, all the staff. And again, you've got all these players who are sitting there frustrated, they're not in Europe. And we could get ourselves in a hole. I mean, they've got us in this hole by spending that much money so quickly. And it's just, as I said, going forward, I think that's the one concern for me. I'm not on. There's no point really saying kind of Igbali, Todd Bowley, all of these, getting them out because it's not going to happen. They're not going to sell up. They've spent all this money. Then they're just not going to sell. The only thing we could see is the Winstanleys, the Lawrence Stewart, all of these, the sporting directors, that we could see change. But again, going off what I've seen so far is I don't trust them to necessarily make the right decisions, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any change anytime soon. So, but anyway, I've got to shoot off, so I appreciate having me on.
Cheers, Nick. Enjoy the rest of Valentine's night, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Just want to jump in quickly, just to say, first of all, Maresca probably wasn't the right manager to come in. Anyway, I'm one of those people that believe that Poch shouldn't even been sacked. I know everyone hates him, but I personally believe he shouldn't have been sacked. He probably would have been doing a better job than Maresca, because we need to remember that Maresca didn't start this form that Chelsea were on. Poch did. Poch was the one that got the last few games. He changed whatever, got it together, and he could have went on and done more. I don't know. Obviously, it's all hearsay. We don't know. But for me personally, there's no better manager out there. Even if we did sack Maresca, who comes in? Who's actually any better? Honestly, for me personally, I think the football market is in a dire state. I feel like the players are not as great anymore. All the players now are just system merchants. It's like they have to fit into a system and they'll look good. Like, gone are the days of a player that you would sign and they're just so class that they can change the game, and it doesn't matter what system, where they play, they will pick up the ball and they will find. Gone are those type of players. Everyone is, do your job. You stay on your man here on the left. You come in from the box to the right when this person's got the ball. Players are not even players anymore. They're just a cog in a machine. So players ain't even really that great anymore. Honestly, it's a dire situation, and I feel like the mentality that everyone has to have now as Chelsea fans in general is you have to see the club differently in terms of, I feel like it's like a Dortmund kind of project where it's like you bring in all these youngsters, you're going to play them, and then you hope that they get better. Maybe you can sell them off and stuff. So that's what we have to see it as. We can't see it as this is a team that they've assembled to go and win titles. It may get to that if all the players gel together, become great, reach their potential, and go on to win stuff. But as it stands right now, I think everyone just got tinted glasses on to say that, oh, Chelsea's a top team by history. They're a top team by history. By now, at this moment in time, they are not. The players are world-class talents at best.
Listen, I hear where you're coming from. I mean, I think there is I agree and I disagree. I think there's a period of time where your expectations have to change and you have to know what you are in the moment. But I still think with what you're spending, Chelsea should be demanding to get back. But you should be demanding to get back to that level. You've spent over £1 billion. It's not the Dortmund project. They spend a fraction of what you spend. So you're spending £1 billion of your club's money. Your fans should be demanding it's spent on a team maybe in the league.
You're right. I hear that. But to also get back at that point, this whole £1 billion spend, every team spends that entire, maybe not in one go, but it happens. They've come in and they've spent all this money to change the whole team now. Teams have done that over years. How much has Man City spent? How much is this people like that person spent? Let's look at it like that. Chelsea's spent however much they've spent in a short period of time. And and players don't even go for what their costs now are. I really, really, that argument for me, not at you, Terry, but just in general, whenever it's just such a useless point. It's like, oh, but you spent 70 million on this player. You know they're not worth that, but clubs can demand that because if you want them, you go and pay for them. They may not be.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's just my point on that.
I get where you're coming from.
I have
we're
to
gonna
disagree here. Sorry.
go on. What do you
We have
disagree with?
spent 1.5 billion pound in a space of 3 years, and
Okay.
you know, and that is gone, wasted. We have spent more on youngsters than experience. Yeah.
Yes,
and that's
because it's a
why
whole
we
different
have
project.
failed.
We can't think
Many
about
clubs
Roman.
don't do that. We did, and that's why we're
Yes.
in the mess.
No, but we're in a mess. We're in a mess. Yes, but we need to move our expectations. We can't think just because we spent all this money on these types of players, think that they're world class. Like it's shifted. The whole thing has shifted. It's not world class players like we're signing here. It's people that are going to be up and coming. We have to shift our mental. Like we're not City, we're not Arsenal. They are top at the moment. We're not there. And the more we think like that, the more angrier we're going to get when we get performances like this, because this is the level that we're at now. Unfortunately.
No, for sure.
I don't
So
want-
basically,
yeah. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, go on. I want to go to you, Andrew, because I want to get your take on tonight's game.
so let's start off with
So
with
I'll
tonight's
call you
game
Winter
firstly.
Surfer. It's easier that way. We won't get confused. Sorry. Go on.
Sorry. So basically tonight's game was the worst game I've ever seen in Chelsea's history. Like the worst game. I know we lost to like lesser teams before, but there was always obviously there was a performance there and you lose. The worrying sign about today is this is not a blip. This is not a blip that we lost to Brighton. We lost to the same team in a span of 3 days at the same ground, which is like, it is worrying. It's like really worrying. And for me, it's just that I thought we'd take the first game as the first half of 2 games and be like, okay, he said on his press conference there's going to be tactically some changes, and was like, okay, how is he going to use Nkunku? Maybe he's going to do something there. It was so shit. Nkunku is frustrating to watch him play. And I liked the guy initially when he came. And I think somebody once said in one of these calls that I saw that he must still have a balloon in his sock. Even in today's game, he would have had the balloon in his sock, which is like frustrating. No, and this is the thing about this Chelsea team that I see today, is that they worry so much about the aesthetic of it. They worry, and they're constantly complaining to the refs. And every time they fall down, they're looking at the ref. And that's how the third goal was conceded. Colwill was down and he's still appealing instead of getting up and going for the ball. And for me, that's so frustrating. And I watched John Terry and I watched Cahill and I watched these guys play, and Ashley Cole. They would ask for a foul, but before that they're going for the man. They're trying to get the ball. And so these things frustrate me when I see Colwill, when I see how easily Chalobah let that goal. That was a brilliant goal. Take nothing away from Mitoma. We knew about his brilliance, like when he came 2 years ago, when you saw that people are talking about how he studies dribbling, like he theoretically studied dribbling. So he's a master in that. So to see him do something like that, it's beautiful, but it's just so frustrating. Speaking about the owners, 5 billion that we speak about is because ownership changed. There was an ownership change, and that's normally what happens. They do a clear out, they get rid of somebody and they want. I think that's why that amount seems a lot, but it's because of that. I don't think we will spend like that, because if you see how we've reduced the salary cap, we're not looking to spend big money in the future, which again, as Chelsea fans, we have to sort of address that, and we sort of have to accept that. It could be like a Dortmund project. It could be, and I understand that we've spent money now, but I think in the near future, we're not going to do that, because if you see the level of coach that we have brought in with Maresca, I don't think it's that. And when Maresca first came, I was telling other Chelsea fans and I was telling people that you should listen to how this guy speaks. He's so honest. He told us about how he won't play Sterling no matter what. He won't play Chilwell. He was so speaking the truth all the time. I don't want to listen to his press conferences anymore. It feels so robotic. It feels like he's saying the same thing again and again, and it's frustrating. And he says some stuff that is just like, why are you saying that you don't want top 4? If you're in and around there, say, okay, we'll attempt it. At least say we'll try. Don't say you don't like just blatantly say no, it's not for now, it's for 2 years, or it's in 2 years the project. But don't say that. We might not, and you have this point, Terry, that as long as you're playing, as soon as the season starts, everybody's in a title race, right? Like as long as you are playing there, you're in the title race. So if you're top 6, top 8, you could still be there if the points difference is less. But right now, I know some people got gassed and were talking about title race like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I'm afraid that we won't make 6th. And what's even scarier is if we do make 6th, they will compare him to Poch and say, yeah, Poch got 6th, he got 6th, he's a championship manager, so give him more time. And I think the problem is the entire system that's happening like internally, or the backroom staff or whatever they are. I think the problem is there. The number of injuries that we have, the mentality is completely dead. Like I think somebody spoke about the mentality, and I said it last time I was on here. It feels frustrating to see these guys not do anything. Gusto got injured. Okay, Gusto fell down. He got injured. We were 2-0. We were 2-0 down, and Gusto was injured. And I thought, okay, he will make the change because James was like warming up and he was getting ready. They kept Gusto on for another 2 or 3 minutes. We conceded the third goal, and then we brought James in. I don't understand why he had to wait for that. And then I thought, okay, if James comes in, there would be some sort of like injection of like, motivation, and he's the captain. He will drive this. He's Chelsea, like through and through. Nothing happened. They keep passing back. And he says one more thing, Terry, which like really frustrates me, and it frustrates any Chelsea fan to watch this, is that he talks about, I don't want the game to go chaotic. I want to have control of the ball. At one point of time in the game, when we were 2-0 down, we had 92% possession for like a span of 8 or 10 minutes, 92% possession, and they had 8%. We had 0 shots on target at the end of the game. 0. They were debating, the commentators were debating whether the slide, which was almost an own goal, whether that would be counted as a Chelsea as on
a
target.
Shot. The stat that stood out to me is you guys completed 648 passes to their 250, but without a shot on target. And that's where and you know what? And where Maresca's got to be careful is listening to what Pep said recently, that football's going through a change where teams are becoming, multiple teams, including his own, are becoming far more direct again. And teams are setting up to be able to handle the tiki-taka, small passes, lots of possession, and then bang, hit you on the break. 4 or 5 passes, they're into your box.
Because Brighton they didn't care.
Exactly.
Brighton didn't care. They were staying in their own half. Yeah. These guys are passing to each other in their own half and looking at each other. You know how many passes was Mitoma's goal? 1 pass from the keeper to Mitoma goal. 1 pass. Your 600 passes means nothing.
If you're not creating chances, I hear you. We're going to come to the super chats in a minute, and there's a few questions about to pose to the panel. But Winter Surfer, how are you, mate? And break down today's game for me. What do you think went wrong tonight against Brighton?
We kicked off, and then it went down from there. So not much really. Do you know what, Terry? You know what was more alarming? I don't think Brighton had to try that hard today. That third goal wasn't. They just walked it in. And Minte did the same thing he did for his first goal on Cucurella. Just turned it inside and then hit it inside the post. That's what it was. It's weak. It's weak. And you could. Chelsea basically told the fans what they were about when the transfer window ended in January. When they didn't help the manager, they didn't help him at all. The fledgling manager, they didn't help him. Bring in a striker, bring in a goalkeeper, bring in midfield, bring in defenders. You know what I mean? It's okay. We'll bring Chalobah back. Chalobah had won. Everyone gassing up Chalobah had won the game. He's been shit ever since. And I don't really.
Andrew, you know what the excuse was for that, Andrew? You know what the excuse was why they didn't bring midfielders? They're saying that they're possibly waiting for Estevao and Kendry Paez and to wonder how they're going to fit them in.
It's not even that. They could have bought one of the two they've got on loan in Ugochukwu.
Strasbourg. Yeah, Strasbourg.
Yeah, but it was just that what I always hearken to is when the thing I don't like what they've done with like Colwill. John Terry was a great defender, but he had Desai 3 years as a mentor before he went on to be a good defender. Colwill's got no mentor whatsoever there. He's got Chalobah there. He doesn't do well. I don't know why. I will say Maresca. I don't know why Tosin was dropped. Actually, he actually was okay last week against Brighton, but it was just nothing really. I mean, it's bad. Terry. I thought Caicedo was again. Rutter absolutely destroyed Caicedo again today for the second game in a row. Caicedo couldn't handle him. He lost his head. He could have had. You know what? He could have been sent off today, Caicedo.
Yeah,
he should have got booked early on.
Yeah.
He got booked early on. He lost his head again, and he took him off in the 65th minute. You know the game's lost when he brings off Caicedo. When does he ever bring on Caicedo? It doesn't work with Nkunku and Palmer. Palmer again gave his best Bruno Fernandes impression, just holding his arms out like that. Get the ball. If you want the ball, go get the ball. Do you know what I mean? No one did anything. There was nothing there. The only good thing to come out of this game that it was on Friday, and we've got the rest of the weekend to recover. That's the only good thing about it. I just feel sorry for any Chelsea fan who cancelled their Valentine's Day plans today. I really do.
I did mine. I had my date and then I watched the game.
Yeah, there's nothing there, Terry. And we'll all get the PR. We got the PR pieces after the transfer window ended. Oh, we got deals lined up for the summer. I couldn't care less about the summer. I really couldn't, because if Ed Barley's running the show with these two clans, I know what the striker is going to be. It's going to be Liam Delap. We all know that at Chelsea, right? It's going to be Liam Delap and some other kid or something like that. I really want someone like he gets a lot of flack, and I understand why. But I think if I saw Todd Bowley in charge, I think the club would be run a bit differently. Just the way he just the way he runs. It helps run the Dodgers over.
Yeah, but what I'm a little worried about Todd Bowley is that when Chelsea right now as a club, because with Ibrahimovic, we knew like every time Chelsea was in trouble, he was always trying to do something. You knew that the owner was sitting there watching the game. The problem with Todd Bowley is that we're having a crisis right now in the team, and he went and bought a cricket team.
Yeah, but
that's not nice to see as a
Chelsea fan. He can't do anything. And the problem is that this consortium. It's the problem with a consortium and a sole owner is two different things. Consortium, you have to get backing, and he doesn't have the majority control over it. So anyone saying there's really pointless breath saying like owners out because they can't really sell it for like 7 more years or anything like that.
Yeah, that's the thing I was saying about you. There's almost little to nothing. You are stuck with them, aren't you, until like 2030?
That's what Abramovich wanted in the contract. He wanted that they couldn't sell and take dividends out for 10 years.
Do you know what I say? Right? Maybe there's a plan here. Maybe by then, the sanctions gone.
Roman
comes back.
He could then say it was illegally taken off me. I was forced to sell it illegally.
He'll just buy it back. He'll just buy it back.
That would be amazing.
Maybe that's why he goes, right, if I make it so they can't sell it for 10 years, that gives us 10 years to get all this. I mean, you guys, I reckon you'd all cry your eyes out if he came back.
I think that's the only time, that's the only time, other than Mourinho, that's the only time you'll take an X back, Other than Mourinho.
I hear you on that. Let's jump into some of these super chats here. First one says, this here says, this club is a joke. At this point, it's the most frustrating performance I've ever seen. Oh, that's from you. Maresca keeps talking about keeping the ball. Did fuck all with the ball. 0 shots, for fuck's sake. Get the lot out, which you obviously said in your monologue as well. But yeah, I just realized when I put it up, I went to Andrew Barneses. Just because the hair is different, I didn't recognize straight away.
Yeah, the hair is different there. No, I just want to say one thing about Minte. Terry, is that he was playing right back the entire game. He was playing right back.
Yeah.
We had Nkunku playing forward, and we have 0 shots on target. Their right back scored 2 goals. Those guys were so clinical today. It's frustrating.
I will say this again. Why do we keep crossing it? High crosses into the box. I have no idea why. Why, if they're going to cross it, why is it low crosses?
You are right as well. As bad as Palmer's shots were in those opening 2 chances where you played it through, the problem you have is that everyone's waiting on the edge of the box. You've got no one who does what a number 9 does. And I'm sitting there watching it and I'm thinking, it was really good football. Both of those opportunities should have been put across the 6-yard box for a tap in, but no fucker was there. And that isn't even, I don't even blame the players. That's where I look at the club and go, you've not bought anyone who has that predatory instinct. And they should have done. Jerome here
And
says,
Mark Yu was that guy. And when he got injured, I was
Yeah.
a bit sad. Mark Yu was that guy. I know he didn't play much. When
Yeah.
Jackson got injured, I was like, okay, that's a bad thing, but this is a chance for Mark Yu to like play consistently and show because he presses really well.
Yep.
He has that energy and he has that mentality they're talking about. Because if you see the goals in the Conference League, he does those poacher type goals. He's always in the box. And
I hear that.
we miss him.
Is Maresca tactically inept, or are Chelsea players not playing for him anymore? Or maybe it's just got beat by a very good Brighton team. What do you make of that super chat, Ronin? Which of them do you think that is?
He's not tactically inept. I mean, he proved in the beginning of the season the team was playing very well. Everybody was kissing their ass. It was great. Now they've had a bad run of form and everybody's jumping off the deep end. Now, I'll say this, and this has not been said, and it's crazy. The plan was to make Champions League next year, apparently. So Maresca coming into that, if this is what the owners were telling him, why would he? I don't understand where all the craziness is coming from. I get it. We're fucking spoiled Chelsea fans. I understand that. All of you are.
Yep,
All
that's
of you.
that.
Crying
said
like babies about the team
I agree.
performance when they're still in fourth place. I get it. Run of form's terrible. But they can still win. People can get healthy and come back and they can still win. But this fan base melts down in fourth place. I get it. It's a bad run of form. They're out of the FA Cup.
But today's game doesn't look like form. Today's game was really bad. Like the way the game was played was really
but
bad.
can you realistically say that without a striker, they were going to do any better than this?
No,
Yeah,
I
think
understand
letting them
that,
that
and
many goals is crazy, right? Of
that's-
course.
No, but for years, Chelsea have not had a proper number 9. That curse of the number 9, they have not had a proper number 9. Okay,
Exactly.
when,
If
even if
Jack
Salah had
Jackson
proper number
sold
9,
tomorrow,
Lampard was our
50
top
teams would
scorer.
try to buy him.
Hazard was our top scorer.
Just going back to that super chat, Brighton aren't a good team because before the FA Cup they got spanked 7-0 by Forest.
7-0,
This
yes.
is the first league game they've won at home for 3 months. So they're not a good team.
Yeah. Listen, I think there's some truth in that.
City
Thank you,
got
Luke.
spanked by Arsenal, and we just let them walk all over us. Like Chelsea is just like weird.
I agree.
Valentine's gift to everyone.
Thank you, Luke, for asking everyone to smash the like button. Let's get that hit right now if you haven't done so already. Luke also says, can you play the Todd B video? I don't know if I have that video anymore. Yeah, it's not on here anymore. I've not got it. I've not got it on this. I'm not on this thing, I'm afraid. This is from Dio, who says Chelsea will keep signing young players in hope that the team grows together over the next few seasons. It's going to be a long few seasons for Chelsea. He also then puts up this, thank you, and he says, last 5 years, Chelsea have spent 1.5 billion euros, United 800 million euros, Arsenal 697 million euros, Tottenham 700 million euros, Newcastle 500. Why shouldn't we talk about who spent the most? Yeah, listen, I get why an Arsenal fan's going to say that, because obviously Arteta always gets what he spent thrown at him. And there is a fair argument, again, if you hate Arteta, there isn't, that there are a number of teams that have spent more than him in that time as well. And the thing is, you have to keep spending. But what Chelsea have done is, I agree with what Andrew, Chelsea have spent a lot up front. And their hope was they could slow down their spending as the players mature.
Yes.
What we might now be seeing as a problem with that, so anyone who says, oh, Terry, you said this was a problem, might. Again, I want just Google now what the word might means, please. For all the toaster people, is that if though they go through lots of bad times together, because this strategy's never been approached and they have bad games, maybe they can't grow together and have the sort of mental fortitude and strength that you need for a title-winning team. Because at the first sign of adversity, all the anxiety, all the stress, all the panic comes back of the bad periods they've had, because they were lots of young players kind of left out on the pitch without the experience around them. So I've always got what Chelsea were trying to achieve. And I do agree with what...
Terry, you can do this a lot better, though. How come,
no, I agree.
I would say this. How come we're supposed to go after young best players? How come we didn't spot the Bournemouth defenders? But Bournemouth did.
No, mate, listen, I agree.
Yeah, but how do we know they would even do well in a top team? We've seen players that do well at these times.
This could be done a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I think that you got to remember as well.
Why do I need two sporting directors?
Quite a bit of that.
They're frauds. Yeah. Sporting directors are frauds. I agree with you.
And quite a bit of the money that was spent in the early stages, that was the Koulibalis, that was on that. Yeah, and I just think the mixture of the money you've spent, some of the youngsters you bought are excellent talent, but what you should also have in this team is I'm just going to forget the names. Let's not be subjective. You should have Osimhen or Victor Gyökeres in this team.
Yes.
You should have. You could have got Bruno Guimaraes for the money that you spent, as an example. You could have a top class centre back in this side. The one thing I didn't think I didn't think your goalkeeper covered himself in glory today. I know that there's this debate amongst your fan base of like, what is his name? The guy that's in goal today. It's Jorgensen. Sanchez. When I hear that debate, I just think neither are Chelsea standard. Neither
Petrovic is better than both of them. Petrovic is better than both of them, and he's outside the club. He's better than both of them.
And he ain't good enough. The point is, he ain't good enough. Like, none of your keepers are good enough. And
we have 8 of them, Terry. We have 8 of them.
Yeah, all 8 are not. And I'm complimenting your club here. I don't look at any. Listen, you may never have a Petr Cech again. Petr Cech might be your greatest ever, but there are so many better goals in the Premier League alone. Dean Henderson's better, as an example. Ramsdale's much better. Ramsdale's better than your goalkeepers, and I'm not even saying he's good enough for you. You know,
Leicester's keeper's better than our keeper.
Right, let me just crack up. I've got some more super chats here. This one is addressed to Elijah. That says, "Big up Elijah for coming on. Way bigger cojones than other Chelsea fans like Ches and the losers dunking on him in the chat. Respect to you, mate." Obviously all the Chelsea fans are here, but a few Chelsea fans, in fairness, did message today and they said that they've got dates and they won't be able to make it. So
Don's in Paris, to be fair. Don's in Paris.
Don't give them no excuses.
I should just lie and say they bottled it.
Yeah, they can come away. They can come back for like 2 minutes. It's not hard.
Yeah. Yeah, Rax. It depends on the date, though. Rax is here. What you saying, bro?
Hey, what's up, guys? I am obviously, as a rival, I'm kind of enjoying this meltdown from afar. I just had a few points about the way that Chelsea have kind of constructed this squad. They've basically, what they've tried to do is hack the system, right? Well, the owners have tried to hack the system. They front-loaded a lot of their spending, and they brought in what they consider to be top-quality recruiters from Brighton, with a view to picking up loads of talent, relatively speaking, cheaper than they would have been when they hit their peaks, right? If you got a Palmer when he's hitting his peak, he's 150 million, all that kind of stuff. But they've tried to be a bit too clever, and unfortunately, like when it comes to PSR and all this kind of stuff, you can see that it's already catching up on them. The only reason they met their PSR requirements over the last couple of seasons is because they sold real estate that they own to their own parent company, right? So eventually, when Chelsea do get sold again, they'll sell the parent company so that buyers will effectively still have control of those assets. But without that, they wouldn't have. So they took a high-risk strategy with a lot of young players, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working out. Now, like with all due respect, the whole thing about Roman coming back and any kind of conspiracy thing, any new buyer would have to pass a fit and proper persons test. Roman Abramovich is not passing a fit and proper persons test, I'm afraid. So that's pie in the sky as well.
Not now. The world's changed since 2004. Yeah.
And the reality is, just like Liverpool, just like Arsenal to a lesser extent, but most clubs nowadays are owned by hedge funds. And at some point, the hedge funds are going to want their pound of meat. With FSG, it's going to be when they sell Liverpool. And this is another thing why I think Chelsea owners tried to hack their system, because I think they tried to set up a system where they can make a lot more money by player trading. Mm-hmm. But that's a really high risk strategy, because if your players don't develop, and we all know development isn't linear, if they don't do that, you end up losing. And unfortunately, there's more misses than hits right now in this era. And I think it's going to be a big problem.
So here's the thing, Rax. Here's the things, Rax, right? In the summer of the PSR window, they went to Villa, right? This is before he signed a 6-year contract. They were already going to sell Maatsen for 35 million to him. So instead of buying Javern, a striker they could have got because he's got behavioural issues, because he wants to be the best, they decide to sign Lloyd Kellyman. Who the hell is Lloyd Kellyman to the team? Yeah?
Where is Lloyd Kellyman?
They then go to Leicester. We've also got here.
What is Lloyd Kellyman?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they also go to Leicester, who's got PR, whatever it is. So instead of buying the goalkeeper who worked with him, who does well for 40 million, they buy KDH for 35 million. And just on a side note, Roman Abramovich will not pass the fit and proper fitness test, but his cousin Richard Abramovich will actually definitely pass him. He's got a British passport. I'm just seeing it right now. He's glasses. He's all good.
You're one of
Fair
my favorite Liverpool like fans. Like I don't like Liverpool as a team, but obviously you're one of the guys who speak sense. But you didn't even let us enjoy that for 5 minutes. You came on straight away and be like,
sorry. I had to. My work here is done, guys. But peace.
Cheers, Rack. Top man.
Take care, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Look at that. The man's on a date, right? And he's out on a date, Valentine's, and he walks out the restaurant to call you guys. Let's jump on some more of these super chats.
No excuses for Don.
I've got to get through them. Comparing Cole Palmer to Saka after one good season was a crime. Saka has been the most consistent English player for more than 5 years now. All his competitions have fallen off rapidly.
I agree.
Look, there is an element of truth to that, right? But Saka is one of the benchmarks.
Terry, I just want to say something about Palmer.
Yeah, go on.
I just want to say something about Palmer is that Palmer was doing well as long as there was like this media nod on him. Like as soon as he started to do little well, it's like normally what happens with English media. I think you brought this up with Saka as well. It happened that they started to put so much of pressure on him. He's in every like interview. They have like these interviews after games. They're having these behind the scenes with him. I think that's distracted him from what is important because as long as none of that was there, he was just playing.
Maybe. I look at it this way. He's still only 22 years of age. And I know he played football and won some trophies at City, but he was very much a bit part player. This is his second full season as a pro. And he's going through a down period. So he's got 3 goals in his last 10 games. And I don't think he scored in the last 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah. He's still our top scorer, but he's still our top scorer.
I get that. But the point I'm making is this is so normal for a young player who is only going into he's halfway through his second full season. And this is the issue. Messi had down periods as a 21, 22-year-old. Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't at his consistent best until he hit about 24 years of age. So I get that Arsenal fans will jump on it and go, there you go. But that's also why I praised him. There was a point where I was saying for the last 15 months, he was one of the best players in the world, and he was. But at the same time, I'm very aware that he's going to have a down period. And then what happens is you get into your mid to late 20s, you have another down period. I remember Andy Cole going for it. I remember Ryan Giggs in his early 30s going through it. And Man United fans were saying, maybe we've got to sell him. And then he comes good again. We just forget as football fans. We expect 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 performances every single game. That is not normal. There's been two players broke the barometer. There was that decade period where Messi and Ronaldo were just aliens in terms of performance, output, consistency. But what those two were doing was such outliers, and they were two of the greatest maybe to ever do it. We shouldn't be using that barometer on everybody. It's a crazy thing to do.
Terry, you also forget with Saka, and he's a brilliant player. He doesn't do it now. But I swear his first 2 or 3 seasons, he went missing at the end of the season because he played too much.
Yeah,
he fell off last couple of months. Exactly. So that's what I mean. They forget that.
That's why exactly. And I don't focus on it because it's so typical. Exactly. These men, on the panel touch base on the ownership issues, yada yada. What about the period of 2 months when you won everything? These guys were sure of top 4. Now the narrative shifts suddenly.
It's almost as if a turn of form has happened and we haven't played.
I have never said Chelsea.
Can I defend Loudmouth Football? Can I defend this particular panel? This is a relatively, and it's quite nice actually to have fresh. Obviously, Javern's been around on the terrace a while. Andrew's always here, and I love that. Andrew's always been quite balanced with it. Javern doesn't really come on camera too often. He's normally doing my tech, right? But Javern, if you're in the group chats, this man, you would not think he supports Chelsea with how he doesn't think they're very good. And Andrew Barnes only just started coming on, and Elijah wasn't on earlier on in the season. So they weren't here. And nor was, this is only the second time that Ronin's come on and shown his face on the terrace. And I mean that in a polite way. It was different Chelsea fans that were saying that. So I appreciate what you're calling out, but you're targeting the wrong Chelsea fans. Ches is an example. And Don, CB, these were the guys that were like, I think we're in the title race. I think we could win the league. I think we're better than Arsenal. Those individuals that said that, not the people that are sitting here now. Roman net spend 1 billion, 4 team major trophies. Bowley's net spend 0.8 8, 7 billion, 0 major trophies. Clearly, the manager is not the only problem. I think Chelsea fans agree with
But
That's what I've
Ronin
been
was over like a
saying.
10-year
Times, that's
period.
great.
Ronin was over
yeah.
a 10-year period. This
They-
is only
they-
3
yeah.
years now.
Yeah, no, you've got to give it some time. You do. Not buying squad not deep. You have 35 players and 1.5 billion spent. It is recruitment's fault. Yeah, the fact they don't have what they need after doing that, I absolutely, I think.
Yeah,
every
Winter
team
Surfer
can
said
agree.
that. He just mentioned that. Like, it is a recruitment fault. Like, we could have got the keeper from Leicester. We got the midfielder. So
Elijah, this here says, will the Chelsea panel call out Palmer finally, stinker after stinker? What do you think?
That's
I think
I've been saying that. Like Adir Daguna, I'm not sure if you heard me before, but I've been calling out Palmer. Like he started this season, he started off really good, but like say over the month or so, he has been terrible. Like there's decision making was poor, his shots was poor, everything was poor from Palmer. I'd be calling it out. Like Palmer's a good player, but if he has bad games, I'll criticize him week in and week out. So Palmer needs to improve, but it's not only just.
but
him.
he had a slight
Everyone
injury.
needs to
Okay,
step
so
up.
that's when he sort of fell off. What I noticed by Palmer is that he had this small
don't even
injury,
say
and
it.
that's why he fell off.
It's a fact.
It's not-
He
Yeah.
had an injury.
yeah. This
I
is a
heard
crazy.
Theo, he had an injury.
This super chat's
think more-
crazy, and I've just checked it, and it turns out to be real. I didn't realize that Matt Sell, the Forest goalkeeper, was at Strasbourg, a club
Yes.
you own,
Yep.
Yeah,
in the summer. So
Yep.
you,
yeah.
but this is what I think you mean by recruitment. He is one of Blue Co's players, and they've let him go to Forest, and he's amazing, and he's head and shoulders above your goalkeeper. Now he's
Do you know how I
32.
know he's amazing? Because he was brilliant against us in a 1-1 draw at home. He was brilliant. He was the reason that they got a point against
He's
us.
been great all year, but
Yeah,
you know
but
what
would
it
he
is?
perform the same here at Chelsea?
Maybe, but yeah,
We got to look at it. Like,
Javern, but you can make that argument about any signing ever. You could say, well, your logic dictates, well, let's not sign anybody ever again because they might not make it at Chelsea.
no, it doesn't.
What
It doesn't. What I'm saying is, we don't.
The point I think you're missing, Jay, that I think is more important is you need more players of his age group. You need some real men in the dressing room with these young lads. It's like any workforce, right? You work with me, Javern, regularly. Can you imagine we've got a big show that we're organizing and I decide to just purely hire 18, 19, 20-year-olds? Let's be honest. If they're not being supervised by slightly older people, do we think they are all going to do a job to the best of their ability all day?
No,
We've all been that age. We've all been around people that age. I think you need men, real older men in that dressing room to lay down the law and keep them on point as well. Jay here, JB says opinions change when performances do. Serious issues at Chelsea right now. Funny to see as an Arsenal fan, but still big up to the lads for coming on when you lot were the loudest Chelsea channels disappear. Where's Don? Don is genuinely with his missus in Paris. But he's very active in one of the group chats right now, and I've just messaged him saying, "Bro, enjoy Paris, man. Like, don't spend all that money. Don't spend all that money to be in Paris with a beautiful young woman just to be in the group chat fighting with Giuseppe. Like, there's no point, bro. Like, enjoy yourself, have a drink, have a little bit of the horizontal hula, and enjoy yourself, brother. Do you know what I'm saying? Enjoy yourself, brother. Chill out." The Palmer super chat was sent before you guys called him out. Yeah, he did. To be fair, that was sent a little bit earlier. To be fair, this is also about Palmer. It says, guys, if you miss out on Champions League football, did anyone in this panel think Chelsea might cash in on Palmer?
Only if an extraordinary bid. Only if the extraordinary bid comes in.
Yeah, because they did too much PR for him. I think that they've made him like this face of this new team, and they've done like tried to build some team around him.
Yeah, he ain't
so
going. It has to be some crazy offer.
I know.
The margin is so big on him for his future. It makes no sense to sell him.
But that's another thing, though. You would think, right? These guys, if they get into a Champions League, their wages increase. So you think they'd actually be fighting for that as well. Do you know what I mean? Their wages increase if they get in the Champions League. They're not even willing to fight for that at this moment in time.
Yeah, but when your manager's saying that that's not your goal, then like I don't know, like the manager's putting that mentality in them, saying that hey, it's not for this season. So
yeah,
but
listen,
the only problem is that if we don't make Champions League, one of our best players will leave. You think Palmer's going to accept this? He will not. Caicedo, no. Most of our players will likely to leave. And whose fault is it?
They're not going to leave unless
who's buying? Where are they going? Where are they going? They're not going for less than 200 million.
They're on so long contracts. The
contracts keep them here.
Exactly.
They're
They
not
ain't
going to leave.
going anywhere, man. They ain't going anywhere
Oh,
unless it's like
yeah.
200 mil
Yeah,
minimum.
Pete,
They ain't
yeah,
going
you need to
nowhere.
understand that.
Yeah,
He's on like a 9-year contract. It's going to be 32 before he could actually walk out on a free for Christ's sake. It's going to be one and done.
They ain't going nowhere. Death row for a reason.
Yeah.
Like,
Listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show tonight. It means a great deal that you've all come on. Commiserations to Chelsea. Congrats to Brighton on the win tonight. This is going to redirect you to Hassam's channel. To go and support Hassam. Yes, it is Hassam's channel. I'm just checking. Yes, it is. It's so go give him a little bit of shit over there and go and support his channel and go and subscribe. I want to thank my brilliant panel tonight. All of our super chatters, thank you. Our members, you're amazing. We're back tomorrow with match reactions to the Arsenal game and whoever else is kicking off at 3. I think Man City kick off at 3. So Man City at 3 o'clock tomorrow as well. Yeah.
Oh
So
God.
remember, if you've got NordVPN, if you scan that QR code on the screen, all you've got to do is sign up to Sastanta Sports. Simple and easy. Watch the games for $3.99 a month legally as well, people. It's legal, and this is all it is. You get NordVPN by scanning that QR code. Sastanta Sports. Sign up to it. 3 p.m. games. Quick, easy, safe. Plus loads of other sports available as well, as you can see here. So go and check that out. Until next time. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. You ain't got it already, Javern. You've only done work for me for 5 years. Cheers.
I've got Nord. I've got Nord, but I don't know about the Satanta Sports.
Yeah, man. You got to get Sastanta. Cheers, people.